You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, this is Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There, Lady sings that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you, but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as the rest of your family, because, well, they know what you did in 1974, and we don't talk about it, but they still blame you for the episode with the cat. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just making up stuff. Right now, someone's out there in the audience going, oh, shit, he knows. Anyway, guys, we have an amazing author on the show, and in the meantime, we want you to refer your friends and relatives. Remember, the Chris Voss Show is a giant multi-level marketing organization where you have to have a downline of 5 referrals under you of your family relatives that also subscribe to the show. No, I'm just kidding. There's nothing like that. We don't do that sort of thing. But, no, seriously, we do. We check, so get on it. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss. Chris Voss 1 on the TikTok, getting Chris Voss, Facebook.com. Today we have an exciting young man on the show with us today, all the way from Germany, and he's promised not to start any world wars for me, at least during the show. They did too, so they're troublemakers over there. And I am German, so that's part of the problem. But we left before the I don't know. I don't have a joke for that. We left before the unsettling, whatever that was. Anyway, we're trying to do German jokes in the Chris Voss Show today. It's not working. So, good job, improv boy. He is the author of the latest book called out June 11th, 2024, called Interconnected Success: Mastering the 7 Key Areas of Impact in Business and Life. So those of you who aren't interested in success and you want to lose miserably, this show's not for you. But if you want interconnected success and to master your life and business, this is the show for you to listen to. And you might want to listen to it 4 or 5 times. We have Stephan Szugat on the show with us today. We'll be talking to him about his book, his insights, and how you can make your life better. And if he doesn't make your life better, we're going to keep bringing him on the show until you get it. Anyway, Stephan is a former interim manager for finance and accounting. Today is a coach and author. He mainly coaches business owners and managers to gain clarity about what matters most. Profits, of course. No, I'm just kidding. Boosting focus on what to do and about taking encouraged actions while aligning business and personal goals. He also helps individuals about gaining clarity and experiencing happiness within. Throughout his life, he learned various methods to find that the simple things work best. Who knew? Happiness is what we all seek and mostly overlook that it comes from within us. There you go. Along with my 7 other personalities. Stephan has helped his clients to see and experience this inner joy as easy and simple as possible. Welcome to the show, Stephan. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Chris. I'm doing good.
There you go. I think a Stephan flipped into the bio there, didn't it, from me, huh? We'll see if we can fix that in post. So, Stephan, give us your, I'm just reading bios here. So, Stephan, give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Of course, it's stephanszugat.com, and also it's selfcoaching365.com, and you can find me on LinkedIn as well as on Facebook. Yeah, and that's where you can connect with me.
Connect with him. So give us a 30,000 overview. What's in your new book?
So what's in my new book? It's, as it says, Interconnected Success. I was wondering the whole time when I was an interim manager for finance and accounting that there must be something more in common with businesses than just accounting. So I said, okay, what is it? So I sat down and compared every client I had been with, and I came up with these 7 areas. I said, oh, this is interesting. They are really common with every business. And to my surprise, I found out they are also common in all our private life, in our personal life. So I said, that's interesting. So Yeah,
So there's
that's
definitely overlap between the two, or consistent
absolutely.
modalities that values and integrity that have that. So maybe
Yeah,
that's why there's an overlap. Is that why?
yeah. The thing is, I usually, and that was always my intention back then, even as an
Mm-hmm.
interim manager, that seeing that you have one life. Part of that life is in the business world, and part of the life is in your personal world. But you have to match that.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone talks about work-life balance, but it's not about that. It's really aligning these things.
Mm-hmm.
Business is one side of a coin, and personal life is the other side. You can divide them. You can separate them.
Hmm. There you go. So, what was the proponent that made you want to write the book? Was there a moment the light went on and said, "Hey, we should write a book, eh?"
Yeah, that was the first thing came up about I would say 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was joking with another interim manager. We had been in the same company and have been exchanging stories from our experience, and out of nowhere we just had been joking and saying, "Hey, we need to write a book about this." It's so many awesome stories, and some really having been fun talking about. And while I was starting writing this book, I remembered that, and I said, "Oh yeah, that's the idea, to bring the coaching model that I created, which involves these 7 areas, blending it in with the stories from my interim management experience."
Mm-hmm.
So
There you go. So, tell us about your journey through life. You've written 3 books, I think, at the very least. How did you grow up? What were some of your influences, parental shaping, and what made you go down the roads you took?
well, it's I grew up in a rural town, a really small town, which was pretty good to grow up. The only thing that was annoying sometimes was that nearly everything or everyone know you in that town, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you, you couldn't be nasty or something because everyone would know, and your parents as well. So that was the only backside on that.
Oh.
So, and while I grew up, one moment I felt like, oh, this town is too small. I need to go further on, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the next step was the next bigger town about 35 miles away, where I started my apprenticeship
Mm-hmm.
in wholesale and export, and that was pretty interesting. And that was my first experience of being in business, and the owner of that company, it was a small company. I think we had about 20 something employees or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this business owner, he was really a man of integrity, so you can count on his word. And he probably gave up on some of really good contracts just because he said, no, that's it's not, there's no mutual benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really my first experience in business. And from that, I started going back to school because my intention was to go to the university, doing some study.
Mm-hmm.
And I really did. I started, but I chose the wrong profession. I
Really?
started with mechanical engineering
Ah.
because I always had interest in technology. So I was, whatever it was, everything that was turning was having my interest. But then starting and going into mechanical engineering myself, ooh, and the funny thing is, I love numbers
Hmm.
because that's why I ended up in finance and accounting,
Hmm.
and and I still I have not figured out why this happened that I didn't finish the mechanical engineering study because I had so many issues with all these construction calculations. I don't know if my buildings would have been stronger than anyone else's. Maybe they would have been more expensive,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. So Yeah, and from there, because that mechanical engineering didn't work out for me, and I was working on the side with an American company already in the finance and accounting department.
Mm-hmm.
They just gave me the chance to really go through all the departments in accounting, whatever it was, accounts payable, receivables, and whatever you can name.
Mm-hmm.
And and I said, well, that's interesting too. So, and I still had the connection with technology, because back then this company was selling um, high-end mainframe computers and mid-range systems. So something that only really big companies have today. So so I still had that technology side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while until I ended up in interim management.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the most interesting experience for me, because really devoting myself to one company at a time, there was I could dive so deep into these businesses and understand their whole business model and whatever drives them. That really I learned so much. I was most of the times I was joking with the ones who hired me that I'm the most expensive apprentice you ever had because I'm learning with every job. So yeah, and then out of a sudden, I experienced that I was not talking with my clients about the numbers that much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was more about strategy, giving them feedback about ideas they had, and what project they have in the business, and what they can do to improve profits and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I wondered, because that happened with many of my clients at the same time, I said, what the heck I'm doing? And I realized, oh, that's coaching. It's called coaching. So,
Ah, there you
and
go.
I get myself into a course and learned about how to do coaching in a professional way,
Mm-hmm.
instead of what I was doing from a natural.
Yeah. I used to do
Uh,
coaching naked. It wasn't very professionally told me, so I had to start wearing clothes.
exactly.
It's the
So,
best joke I've got right now for that. That's all I can do on that joke. Sorry, folks. It's a pun.
so yeah, and from there I just decided to get into coaching,
Mm,
and because of that, I was getting back to that idea that what is common about businesses
mm.
besides accounting, and I came up with these 7 areas. Um, and yeah, and then I wrote a book about it.
There you go. There you go. Wrote a book about it. So it looks like you talk about the 7 key areas, and on the cover, I see dependencies, strategy. Uh, let's see, profits and finances, processes, rules and regulations, stakeholder, and I'm having trouble making this one out because I've got a camera in my way.
Oh, strategy.
Strategy?
Yep.
No, it's on the far right. It's multiality.
What?
Multi here it's
Oh, yeah,
turn
well, you have the wrong book, I guess.
mutuality.
Oh, mutuality. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, it's the right book. Okay.
I've got a camera in the way of the
Ah,
screen,
okay.
so it's
Mutuality.
your
Yeah,
book
yeah.
cover. I mean,
Yeah, dependencies and mutuality. That's right.
we had a guy on the show one time, and he had like 12 steps of how to be better in business. So I asked him, I
Uh,
said, "Hey, can you give us a sample of some of the 12 steps?" And he totally blanked.
ooh,
I was like,
totally
"You
blank.
wrote this book, right?" Might have been ghostwriting book.
Well, you can
Um,
do that.
yeah, there you go.
Come up
So
with your own steps.
you have these 7 key areas of impact: strategy, dependencies, stakeholder, processes. Why did you break these down into 7? Why are there maybe only 7? Is a good question. And why are they
Yeah.
so key?
Okay. So while I was in the process of creating this coaching model, I call it interrelations,
Mm-hmm.
because we all have these interconnections. Some are obvious, some we can't see sometimes. So while I was in the process, I at one moment I had just 5 areas. And I went over them and worked with them a little bit, and I said, well, there's something missing. Something felt there was something off. Then I came up with a few more. I think I was back to 9 or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then it felt like, ooh, that's too much. It can be nine areas. So and I found that two of them really fit into other areas. So I ended up with the 7
Mm-hmm.
and started working with them again, and started to see where I can find them all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
With every business I had been with every idea I have, even with projects, I can see these 7 areas, and then I recognize, oh, they are in my personal life as well. They might have different names in my personal life than in from a business perspective, but that's what I came up with, and I call them key areas because when you really take a look deeper to them, you can see that they are crucial for running a successful business. So if your
Mm-hmm.
processes are not in order, well, that will hurt your business profits with the time. So
Yeah.
here you go with the profits, right? If your profits not in order, you can't serve your customers that much or pay your employees, and that are your stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can even not fulfill your dependencies because your business depends on your customers, your vendors, your suppliers, and whatever. So, and it's not that you balance these 7 areas one time and that's done for every moment in the coming future. That's not possible from my point of view. It's That's why I have it on the cover as like a wheel, because it's like a wheel turning all the time. So and
Mm-hmm.
that's what is life, right? Life is always changing, and so you
Oh
have
yeah.
to see what is the area I need to focus most on,
Mm-hmm.
but don't forget about the others.
Yeah. And I mean they're interchangeable, right? I mean you've got to balance them all and find what works. Strategy is really important. Understanding processes are really important. How maybe your supply chain or your production goes from point A to point Z, and how things pass it through, and innovations you can make in those processes. That's really important to have. Dependencies. What are dependencies? Is that like when I put my children to work in the coal mine or something? What is
Well,
dependencies in
yeah,
business
if
life?
you depend on what they bring home, yeah, that would be a
Yeah,
dependency, and I
sure.
and I and I don't think that would be a mutual one,
Yeah.
because your children might not
What
find
if I'm
that
drinking too
really
much vodka or cocaine and I have
okay.
dependency during business?
Well, that's
There
another
used to be some
dependency,
vodka I used to take a lot.
and and I usually say dependencies could be good or bad, and if you depend on any drugs, that might be a bad one. So, but anyway,
Yeah.
so let's see dependencies. As I said, it's as just take the human body for example.
Oh.
The human body depends on air. You need food, you need something to drink so that your body keeps staying alive. But on the other hand, you might depend on a bottle of wine sometimes because that's good for your emotion, right? So
Yeah.
you feel, oh yeah, that's good. I just relax and enjoy my time. So and in business could have so many phases dependencies. As I said, you depend on good processes, you depend on your customers, you depend on money flowing through your business,
Hmm.
and then it goes hand in hand with all the other 6 areas.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. And plays into that. So tease out some of the other 2 books. You have 2 books too that you have as well.
yeah, the other one is the Love Yourself workbook.
Hmm.
And that's really about recognizing that whatever you're looking for, the love and the happiness is really inside of you.
Hmm.
And it's relatively simple to bring it up. It's you just ask yourself, could I be happier? And the answer is yes. You decide.
Hmm.
It's really just decision to be happy, and that's the other book about feel great. It's your decision,
Hmm.
because it really is your decision. If you feel bad because your business is not running that good,
Hmm.
Well, how is that helping you?
Do you
Yeah,
have to fake
so,
it till you make it in that case? Is that how that works, or how does
well,
that work?
not really. Yeah, maybe for a time until you
Uh-huh.
realize, oh, really, this works. It comes from inside. So it might, at the beginning, it might be like you fake something, but
Mm-hmm.
from my point of view, it's most important that you really allow yourself to feel that happiness,
Mm-hmm.
because the happiness is really inside of us. And
Yeah.
and usually we say I'm happy when I get this better job, when my business is
I'll be happy
successful,
when, yeah.
yeah, if I have this good relationship. But what is it? What we do with that?
There you go. You know,
We
and
put,
a lot of people do that. They put off being happy.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they
you
delay
postpone your
happiness.
happiness.
Because I'll be happy when I make, $100,000 this month. I'll be
Yeah,
happy when I make 2 million this year. I'll be
yeah.
happy when, uh, you know, uh, I can finally get the attention and love of someone
Mm,
who likes me or something. I mean, people have all these
exactly.
different rules to be happy. But really, I think when you say that gratitude is a great way to find your way to happiness, what do you think
Yeah.
about that?
That's exactly.
Yeah.
Gratitude is one big thing in there.
Yeah.
So, and we have all the time we can be grateful for whatever we have in life, even if our situation might look not as decent as we like to have it. But you probably will find something that really brings up gratitude. And
I found when I'm in my most kind of spoiled, miserable, where I'm just like, I'm not happy and life isn't fair, whatever. Or, if I'm just kind of depressed a little bit, which is probably the same thing. And I find that I try and turn to gratitude. And I think I started kind of learning it when I moved back to California in my adulthood. And my parents kidnapped us and took us away from California as children, enslaved us in the state of Utah in the freezing cold. I'm just kidding, halfway. Um, but I'm not a snow kid, and but I would be all depressed. I'd be, grieving over some loss or some problems, and I would go down to the beach and sit on the beach and watch the sunset. And I would go down there, with the world full of problems and all this stuff, and I'd sit on the beach, and the beach would remind me. I'd listen to the lapping of the waves, which are kind of meditative. I would see this beautiful ocean and this spectacular
yeah, yeah,
vista, the sun going down, and I would realize that I would look at the sand and I'd realize this sand has been here for eons of time. These
yeah,
waves have been lapping at the shore for eons of time. In the grand scheme of things, God don't matter anything to the
ex-
me and my problems will be gone in a few years, and they'll be like, and this will still be here.
exactly,
And
exactly.
it would put them in perspective, my problems in perspective, and I kind of go, you know, I think I've kind of overblown my problems a little bit. They're really not that bad in the grand scheme of things, and maybe I just need to get that. And it would just help me shift perspective, and I think that's what kind of gratitude does.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Yeah,
go ahead.
and I do something similar, but we don't have a beach close here, so
Hmm.
I go to the forest,
Oh, there you go.
and the forest is always it's quiet,
Hmm.
and even if you just watch the trees and maybe you touch some of them
Hmm.
and you feel hey they are standing there for decades, maybe for
Yeah.
100 years or
Hmm.
longer, and yeah, that is it's the same. What you just mentioned is you feel that your problems are not as big as they seem to be.
Yeah.
And also the being outside
Yeah.
refreshes the mind anyway.
Yeah.
So
You need that vitamin D, you need that fresh air, and sometimes
yeah, yeah,
sometimes you really need that. We're getting,
yeah. So
you get kind of sick sitting indoors all day long. I found that one thing that really helps me and helps restart my circadian rhythms and vitamin D, natural vitamin D is go out and sit in the sun in the morning.
yeah, yeah,
And that really helps kind of replenish your body's natural way of processing that stuff. And a lot of people suffer depression from being vitamin D deficient, and
yeah,
uh, and so and then just kind of having a gratitude moment. I started doing a thing during the spring and summer where I would go out in the mornings with my coffee and sit with my dogs in the yard, and I just kind of, I just be appreciative of them, appreciative of my life. I'd read a little bit of Meditations from Marcus Aurelius,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's crazy times.
absolutely,
But
absolutely. It's so
um,
it's always a good thing to step back and just yeah, recognize what's there. Yeah, what you love. You can even find something in life, whatever your situation is. You can always find something that you love.
mhm.
Right. So it's maybe something, a good book, maybe as you just mentioned, your pets, if you have some. So and I know pets could be really a good thing to bring up the mood, right? There is always something to
Oh
laugh
yeah,
about.
yeah. I mean, my dogs, they know when I'm hurting. They know
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I'm having
So
issues,
yeah,
and they'll
and
get in. They'll come to me and be like, "Hey, man,
yeah,
it's not that bad. It's not that
yeah,
bad. You're gonna be okay." And
exactly. Yeah.
I think that's a great place to be and very important as well. So any more thoughts we want to tease out about your book? We of course want people to buy it, but any more thoughts we want to tease out about it?
Um, well, the thing is, it's not that you just work on one area. You
Mm-hmm.
work on one area that you focus on, and there is in the book is I call it the measure wheel. It's a simple self-assessment tool that helps you to determine which is the one area I need to focus most on.
Mm-hmm.
But while working on that area, it's you have to work on all others because will see that there are these interrelations between all these 7 areas.
Mm.
So you can't avoid them. And I kept the assessment tool really simple. It's just a self judgment. You don't need to juggle a lot of numbers or dive into big data or something. It's simple, straightforward. It might take about a minute, maybe five if you're slow, and that's it. And then you know
Oh,
where you are at.
there you go.
Um,
There you go. Well, this should be interesting. Now, tell us about some of the services you offer on your website over there. People can get involved at Self Coaching 365.
yeah. So on the website Self Coaching 365, I offer online courses that are
Mm-hmm.
based on the book and the interrelations coaching model.
Mm-hmm.
It's a self-paced course, and of course there is some support in the background if it's needed. So people can just drop me an email or open a support ticket, whatever they like. So, and on top of that comes a group coaching offer that's open for everyone who is participating in the online course.
Mm-hmm.
And there are two courses actually. The one is more the business related, which is called the Interconnected Success, Navigating the Maze. And the other one is the Ultimate Insights course, which is more focused on the personal development side of the interrelations coaching
Oh,
model.
there you go.
And the last one is the Leadership Reloaded course, which is all my experience I have made as a leader while I was an interim manager, how I was leading my teams,
Mm-hmm.
what worked best for me, and that's all condensed in one course. It's a really quick done course, but it has a lot of ideas and things I did work out for me for nearly 2 decades.
Hmm.
Yeah, so and they are easy things to do. So
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, give people a final pitch out to order up the book, how they can reach out to you to get to know you and your services better, and .coms for people.
so my .coms are stephanszugat.com and selfcoaching365.com, and you can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook. And of course, if you or go into my website, the selfcoaching365.com, you find a subscribe form for the newsletter in the footer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you hit reply to these newsletter emails, you just get in contact with me as well.
There you go. Well, it's been fun to have you on the show, Stefan. We really appreciate it and very insightful. And people can definitely learn from your wisdom and experience so they can live their life better and live their business better, both. There you go.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And thanks, Arnish, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. And that should have us out. So